Hey guys, this is Minecraft. It is currently half past midnight. The reason that I'm making this video so late in the morning or so early in the morning is that Osmar sent me this battery. Now, they were the same people who sent the USB charging hub, or not USB, the USB-C hub that I previously featured in the last video. But this one I've also received at a pretty hefty discount in order to review it. But I specifically requested it, more so than the last one. I mean, I did request the last one, but this one, like, I reached down and I'm like, I want this. And the reason why is this USB-C power delivery for 45 watts. It's also got this Qualcomm quick charging, and it's got a regular USB-C port as well. But if you flip it to the back, and you see, so we'll go through the less important stuff first. So input, it can charge at 5 volts 3 amps, 14.5 volts 2 amps, 20 volts 1.5 amps. Okay, charges pretty quick. It's got a USB output that's 5 volts 2.1 amps, as well as a more capable one that's the quick charge 3.0, that's 5 volts 3 amps, 9 volts 2 amps, 18 volts, that's 18 watts. These are the watt totals for what 5 volts 3 amps is 15 watts. So 12 volts at 1.5 amps is the last one for that. So that one does 18 watts out. But if we look at this USB-C output, the power delivery one, 5 volts 3 amps, 9 volts 3 amps, 12 volts 3 amps, which if you know how the GPD Win 2 works, this one should excite you, as well as this one, 14.5 volts 3 amps, and 20 volts at 2.5 amps. Now, I have my GPD Win here, my Win 2 is right here. We'll bring that back out in a moment. First, let's open up this box. And I have opened this up, I've tested it out, everything works amazing. So right here, we've got the power adapter, it's Osmars, it's got the logos for power delivery and Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0, which is cool. If I press the power button here, these power indicator lights show up, so it doesn't have a display. The manual shows that it does, but it says that it doesn't, and it clearly doesn't. It uses these 4 lights to show charging. On the back is a copy of all of this, so if you ever want to know this on the go, like I'm not going to need this box to know it on my trip. It's got all that written there. As far as how heavy this thing is, it's pretty heavy. So we're going to bring out the Skyroku scale again. So this thing is heavy. So this can only read up to 100 grams. And this here is a calibration weight. So I'll turn this on. And you'll see that it says 0. But I've actually intentionally miscalibrated this. So if I put this on the scale, you can see that 100 grams reads as 10 grams. So 100 grams is 10 grams. So knowing that, if you just move the decimal place over 1 point, you get the real weight. So if I put this on here, looks like we're getting 45.24. So what that means, it's about 452.4 grams, or I don't know if this does. Yeah, so 40, like 450-ish grams, 442, whatever I said it was. So it's pretty heavy. For comparison, the Win 2 itself weighs in at only slightly more at 458 grams. So this battery alone is almost as heavy as the Win 2. They feel very similar in weight. So let me go over the ports, and sorry if this is a little messier than the last one. like I said, it's very late and I don't feel like editing parts out right now. So we got these 3 ports. This port is that Qualcomm 3.0 port that can do 18 watts, like 12 volts, 2 amps or whatever. This is the boring port that just does, and I've got it upside down for those little watt readings. So you can see that says 18 watts, 10.5 watts. So this is just 5 volts, 2.1 amps. Not super exciting. In this one, the 45 watt one, this is what charges it, and this is also what outputs all that power that can let the GPD Win 2 charge on the go. If you try and plug in like this port, I haven't tried that port, I don't even try it. This port, it'll just say AC. It'll say it's working off AC, but my adapter seems indifferent. It's not entirely sure if it's actually taking any amperage. So you can see the way that this charges. So I've got 4 lights on, and this light's blinking, so that means that I have between 75 and 100% charge. The fact that they're not all solid means that it isn't 100% itself, and the fact that it's green means that it's currently charging. So if I only had like 50%, these 2 would be solid, and then that third one would be blinking. Or if I had like 49%, the second one would be blinking and the other 2 would be off. Pretty standard. So if you plug in anything into the USB-C port that draws power from it or provides power, those lights will turn on. But if you want to use one of these regular ports, there's a power button right here. You press it and these lights come on. As far as I can tell, there's no way to press it to turn it off. It'll just turn itself off once it sees nothing is going on. So going back to the box, there's actually some other stuff in here. There's a user manual, which says all the stuff that I just recited for you. But there's also some cables. So here's the user manual. Like I said, same sort of stuff, but also got it in Chinese if you want. And it's not the most accurate description. You can see that it boasts that it can charge pretty much anything, and that's pretty true, as you'll see shortly. Comes with 2 cords, a short but appreciated USB-C to USB-C cord with their branding on it, as well as my new favorite cable, this USB-A to USB-C and micro USB cord. So I have an old micro USB cord that I used. So I have an S8 now. I previously had an S7, and before that I had a like a Grand Prime, like a cheap Samsung, and those use micro USB. So all my short cords, I like to keep 1 short cord with me, like on my keychain, just in case I forget my real charger, so that way I can charge my stuff up at work or wherever I am. But I didn't have a USB-C cord for it, so what I had was my same old cord and an adapter. This one combines the 2, and it's hanging from the cord, so I can't lose that adapter, which I think is amazing. So I'm going to use that cord all the time, and I'm going to use this on my my vacation, which I'm not going to lie, I took a couple takes of this. I don't want to edit it right now, and there were some silly mistakes, so I can't remember if I mentioned, but I'm going on a cruise, and that's why I'm doing it so early. I think I mentioned that. So I'm doing this early in the morning because I'm going on a cruise, and I want to have a lot of power, because, you know, you're in the middle of the ocean. Obviously it's a fancy boat, so there's going to be places to charge it, but when I'm walking around the ship or doing the excursions, if I want to play some GPD Win games, especially running it at 12 watts, I need something that can provide a ton of watts back. So this is great. I love this. So I'll show you now. I'll bring in our GPD Win, and I will attach this to the USB-C port. And I don't believe, yeah, that screen will not come on, because so that's in the back of the Win now, because it hasn't received any detection that something's trying to use the power. But if I plug this in now, that'll come on by itself. This will pop up. You can see that by the direction of this arrow, 14.7 volts and 1.5 amps are leaving this battery to charge up the GPD Win. And if I take a look at the screen, it says 2 hours and 20 minutes till full charge, and that estimate might not even be completely accurate, but now you can see it says charging. So that's great. The charge rate is 7,144 milliwatts, and it's awesome. It's awesome to me that I can now charge this thing, even if it does double the weight when I carry it around. It's very usable. There is one that's half the size. It doesn't do 45 watts. I think it does like 30 watts maybe, but it does I think 19 volts either, or I think it does 12 volts 2 amps, or maybe 12 volts 1.5 amps that Omars also sells. If you want this one, as of time of recording, it costs $49.99. The smaller one costs $24.99, and is probably one of the best priced for either size. One of the better priced ones. It has the proper power delivery for the GPD Win to charge properly. The Win 2. The Win 1 kind of lacks about it. And I think that's what caused some of its charging issues in the first place. So I'm glad that this one's more picky, especially now that I have one that it likes. So, one last thing that I want to show before I'm done. To really show how much power this has, right here, I have my Nintendo Switch hooked up. You can see over here is the dock itself. So what you might be thinking, why am I showing you this? Well, for anyone who's had any experience with the Switch, especially around launch, you will know that the Nintendo Switch has even dumber power commands or power demands than the GPD Win 2 does when using the dock. So if I go over to the dock here and I disconnect it from the wall, and I instead place the battery right down there, and then plug the battery in to the dock, that in, I think that's in, and I turn it on. Just make sure that it's on over there. Oh, it's not in all the way. Oh, I'm plugging it in the wrong spot, my bad. So if I plug this in, you'll see the green light just went on. If I turn around, it can power the Nintendo Switch in the dock and make it display out to the TV. And you can see it's doing the same sort of thing, 14 volts, or 14.8 volts, so this is getting closer to the 5 volts. I don't even know what, I don't think I have anything that can do the proper 45 watts. For quick reference, this plug here has the exact same power specifications as this battery. It's 45 watts, and it does the 12 volts, 2.5 amps, and all the other stuff that was mentioned prior. But let's look at this now. If I grab my Switch controller, I can now just enter any game. Like, I mean, it works. So that is how powerful this thing is. So I think for $50, especially compared to the price that other people want for some of these things, like I've seen like 75, I've seen other $50 ones. They're not the one true answer. But this is one of the few that I've seen that has I saw one that had one extra port, I haven't seen ones that have 2 extra ports and the USB-C. So if I had any complaints, it would be that I wish that I could turn that off by myself when I'm done using it. Because if you turn that on, this does stay on for like a good 30 seconds to a minute, which I don't like the idea of that turning on by itself. But then again, where's it going to be in my pocket? Obviously this doesn't really fit in the pocket. If you have like jeans, it will kind of fit in the back pocket, but not really. I wish I had the smaller one to test that one out, but unfortunately I only have the larger one, which is the one that I wanted anyway. But for you guys, I would have liked to show you both. Anyway, yeah, I definitely recommend this, or possibly a power adapter like this, if you have the Nintendo Switch and you plan to travel somewhere where you don't know that you're always going to have like a charger at the ready, or even if you just travel to work a lot and you have extra space in your bag and you don't mind adding another Win 2 in weight to your bag. Because I believe, I haven't done the math properly, but this should be several Win 2 chargers. I mean, obviously this whole thing is a battery. I think this can do like at least 2, probably 3 Win 2 chargers, because if we look here, the problem is they're not all the same units. So the Win 2 has 38,270 milliwatt hours, and this thing has 20,000 milliamp hours. So it's very hard to convert that properly, or for me to understand the converter properly, because it seems like this thing can charge the thing tons of times, but I would imagine at least 2. Don't know in practice yet, but I will find out on my vacation. So thank you guys for watching. If you're interested in this, there should be a link in the video description where you can purchase this adapter. And I'll see you next time.